And this week we also have our Halloween events, which we're having a costume contest on Wednesday, and then Halloween bingo and a dance class taught by a student at our school. They'll be learning the Thriller dance.
And to end for our sports teams for the fall season, our girls soccer competed in districts this week, is competing in districts this week. Our football is competing in districts this week. Girls volleyball is competing in districts this week. Our girls golf team won the district title and sent a team of 4 students to states. And our boys and girls cross country team is competing in districts this week. Again, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kate and Quinn. We appreciate you coming tonight. Okay, and next we have a presentation from a student at Cedar Cliff High School, Kaori Wolf. She's also a senior. And welcome. Thank you for coming tonight.
Hello. Good evening, commissioners, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. It's an honor to share what's really been happening at Cedar Cliff High School. It's been an exciting fall filled with achievement, creativity, and community spirit. I'm proud to represent our students and highlight some of the great things taking place. Earlier this month, Cedar Cliff held a career day, one of the most participated events of the school year. This happens every year, so I've gone through all 4 days. This day gives every student the opportunity to explore possible futures and make meaningful connections through their education and make goals after graduation. For our junior class, Career Day included the PSAT and ASVAB tests, 2 important assessments that help students evaluate their academic strengths, identify interests, and prepare for college and career paths. Our sophomores participated in a variety of STEM activities, using creativity and teamwork to solve hands-on challenges. These projects encourage critical thinking and help students see how science and technology play a role in everyday life. Our freshmen spent the day rotating through college, military, and career information sessions where they learned about the many opportunities available beyond high school. It was a great introduction to thinking about their futures and setting long-term goals. Meanwhile, our seniors, me, took the learning day outside of school to tour colleges and shadow a professional. I shadowed a professional. It was very fun. It's a valuable and exciting chance for them to see what their next steps might look like after graduation. That same day, Cedar Cliff also hosted a college fair for all grade levels. Students were able to meet with college and technical school representatives, gather information, and start exploring programs that align with their dreams and interests. Beyond academics, Cedar Cliff has also been focusing on kindness, inclusion, and community. Last Wednesday, we celebrated Unity Day, where students and staff wore orange to stand together against bullying and for kindness, acceptance, and inclusion. The positive energy throughout the building that day was a powerful reminder that everybody has the ability to make our school a more welcoming place. We also observed White Cane Day, which represents awareness about blindness and visual impairments. Teachers and students wore white to show their support and help educate others about accessibility and understanding. It's another great example about how our school embraces compassion and inclusion in everyday life. Our students are also representing the West Shore School District with pride across the region. The West Shore Marching Band recently performed in the Navy and Marines' 250th birthday parade in Philadelphia, celebrating service, history, and tradition. It's an incredible honor to take part in such a prestigious event that showcases the talent, dedication, and teamwork of our students. In addition to that, the marching band also brought their excitement and energy to our younger students. They visited Fairview Elementary and Old Trail Intermediate schools, filling both gymnasiums with enthusiasm as they performed their award-winning routines for the 5th and 6th graders. After performing, the band members took time to answer questions and share what it's like to be a part of the band, inspiring many of those students to consider joining music and performance programs in the future. It's a wonderful example of how Cedar Cliff students serve as role models within our district. We are also celebrating some exciting athletic success. The 2025 Cedar Cliff girls tennis team made history this season by winning the Keystone Division Championship for the first time since 1992. Their accomplishment reflects years of hard work, determination, and teamwork, and it's brought tremendous pride to our school and community. Congratulations to the team and their coaches for this remarkable achievement. Our clubs and organizations are also thriving this year. Groups like Art Club, Spanish Club, Charity and Action Club, French Club, Young Democrats, and Colts Multicultural Club, etc. There are so many clubs, are active and engaging students in meaningful ways. These clubs give students a chance to explore interests, express themselves, and give back both to the school and the community. Together, all of these experiences from academics and athletics to arts and service show how Cedar Cliff continues to support the well-rounded student growth. We are not only learning in classrooms, but also developing leadership, creativity, and character that will carry us into the future. On behalf of the Cedar Cliff student body, I want to thank Lower Allen Board of Commissioners for your continued support. We are proud to represent the Lower Allen community, and we are grateful for everything you do to make our school a better place for students to learn, lead, and thrive. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your ongoing support of Cedar Cliff High School.
Thank you so much, Carrie. We really appreciate you coming tonight and for your report. Okay, next on the agenda is the Shiremanstown Borough Fire Services representative. We have the Borough Council President, John Getz, this evening.
Thank you for having me here this evening. It's been a long time since I've been in high school, but basically what we did, we sent a letter in wanting to entertain conversation about Lower Allen becoming our primary provider of fire protective services in Shiremantown. Of course, it's the basically doing my due diligence because we're getting into another budget year and we have to look at different things. As you may or may not be well aware, Shiremanstown is reasonably poor. I mean, our taxes are not, but we have 599 parcels. I think a couple barber shops and a beauty parlor, so we're not intaking a lot of taxes. So it's basically up to all the residents of the community to prop up or support any organization. The fire company, just to let you know, they are a standalone organization. And what I mean by that is they own their truck, they own the building, we own the land that it's on, and we pay the insurance for the land that it's on. But they have recently increased the amount of trucks they have to 3. We're asking for you to be our primary provider. Number one, quite frankly, you're usually there first anyhow, before our crew gets there. We're typically we only have one person that can drive the fire truck, the actual truck. We have a mini pumper and we have a traffic truck. And on average, as I've been going through all the paperwork for the from 2022 up until now, is other than medical assists and everything, there's an average, and this is high, of 3 calls per month that require fire services like a trash can fire, a kitchen fire, sniffing out a gas leak, that kind of thing like that, if I look back on all the records. Currently, like I said, you provide us a lot of coverage, and for that you get absolutely nothing from us except our thanks. The fire company, we've had discussion with them in regards to financing them and helping keep them propped up. But in turn, we get, and nothing I'm going to say here isn't public information. Okay, we get Auditor General reports from 2017 and 2023 for the mismanagement of funds, and we help prop them up to get all those issues taken care of so they could, because just like anything else, they blame it on the previous regime that was there. And so we say, okay, well now you got it, and you're on your own, and they get 4 more write-ups from the time that they were supposed to take care of the other ones. There is an element of trust as far as financial trust. We try to mete out the money like as they need it, but kind of slowly. But recently, back in 2023, they committed with no funds available for $62,000 worth of the new radios. And they said they needed them because of the 3 vehicles they had, that they needed to basically have coverage for the different seats that are on the vehicles. Our question, as I said about the way it's set up, so we don't really have any say in who the fire chief is or who the treasurer is or anything like that, because they're their own standalone organization. But we have asked them on occasions that, can't you sell the mini pumper? Can't you get rid of a piece of equipment? If your finances are such that, can't you do something like that? And the response has been, on record, they want to grow their fire department. Well, that's fine to grow a fire department, but in a community that's not growing, we're actually smaller. The property that was on the other side of the railroad tracks is now Hamden Township. Years ago was ours when we ran one fire truck. We had run one fire truck for 60, 70 years, but now it's got to be 3 pieces of equipment. So our problem is we cannot continue to support the existing fire department as they're requesting, and their answer to us is that if you do not support us, we will have to close our doors. It's almost like extortion in a way, you know? It's just one of those things where, you know, the $62,000 for the radios, we just approved that we'd pay for the first 6 months of their loan at $1,000, you know, a month. But what's going to happen after that 6 months? You know, I don't know. What I'm saying is you currently provide us with services and get nothing for it. If you could be our #1 provider of services for fire protective services, which we're required as a borough council to make sure that our borough has, then at least you'd be able to get something. Not a lot, you know what I mean? But I mean, we currently go, I think we have budgeted like $9,500 for the workers' comp, $10,000 that we give them for fuel costs and other things like that. And then you would have what goes typically from the state to the fireman relief. So we're probably looking at like a little over 30 grand that you would basically get for doing the same thing that you're currently doing. You have the equipment. If we needed to get a new fire truck, it probably wouldn't fit in their firehouse. You know, and the old one's getting older. It's just kind of unsustainable. And the treasurer actually said to me that just let them know. I mean, if you're looking for a village, we're just about there. And we don't want to be. But that's basically, I mean, you can help us to prevent that from happening by working with us on the fire protective services. Now, I know you don't want to be the township that is known for, like, getting rid of volunteer fire companies, but you know as well as I do, volunteerism is becoming extremely hard. When the truck does go out, and I live right on Main Street, I look, and there's the driver going with the truck, and there's nobody else in the truck. Sometimes there might be 3 or 4 people, you know, that are there, but that's about it. And it's sad. I must commend our fire chief and his girlfriend and her son. If you look at the calls, they're the only 3 people that are propping that fire company up as far as doing the runs and everything like that. But they just don't, when we talk to them about finances in the big picture, they just kind of don't see it. And it's unsustainable for us. And we're asking you. So it's not like anybody could say, hey, you're the guys that, I'm the guy. You know, I'm the guy that's standing here right now. I'm the guy that's asking you for your help. I'm the guy that's going to have to face the fire from the residents that don't want it to go away. But then there's a lot that financially we can't keep raising taxes. Like I said, we're pretty high as it is. If you look at us compared to Hamden, you guys, you know, we're up there pretty good because we have to try to take care of the, you know, Shiremanstown, pothole capital and sinkhole capital of the world. We have to fix those. You know, we have to keep up on our, you know, different things that are there, storm drains and such like that. So that is why I'm here and just asking for your consideration and any questions at all.
Well, thank you so much. I will open it up to the board to see if there's any questions that they have
Okay.
while you're here. Any questions?
I guess just thinking about this, do you guys incorporate a fire tax to your residents?
Not yet.
Okay.
But they're looking at the possibility of a fire tax. See, there's no other real borough or entity to try to compare us with because, if you go down size-wise, it's bigger, but let's say you go down to Mount Holly. Well, they've got businesses, you know, a grocery store, Sheetz, different stuff like that. We don't. You drive into that, you go down the street and you hit that red light, and you go on the other side, you'll see Todd's Barber Shop on the left, you'll see the other beauty parlor on the right. Even just recently, our insurance company, Wolf Insurance, they moved out of town. And I don't see anybody beating down a door to put a business in, you know? So, yeah, we're looking at the possibility of, you know, of a fire tax. They looked at, like millage increases, but, you know, I think a flat rate fire tax would, you know, possibly help out. We're looking at all different options. The biggest thing we're looking for is for our fire department and their officers to try to work with us, and it's just not happening. You know? And there's nothing we could do to make them do it, because it isn't like we can fire the chief. He's not ours. He's theirs. And personally, you know, the guy's trying, but he's, like I said, trying to grow a fire department in a community that hasn't grown. And I understand, but I don't understand. So,
I guess I can turn it over to Director Hall, or do you have any comments to make initially from this presentation?
It's, I sympathize with their problem, certainly. The volunteer issues, we've had conversations with this board, is everywhere across Pennsylvania. You've heard the statistics. We went from 300,000 plus volunteers in Pennsylvania down to less than 30, which is one of the reasons why we made the adjustments that we did. So again, I sympathize with them. It's really a policy decision. He is, you know, he's correct. We are mutual aid assignment, so we are any major fire there, or if they can't get out, there's probably us and Mechanicsburg and Hamden that all cover the borough. So beyond that, it becomes becomes really our board's decision and discussion which way. Operationally, sure, we could do it. As he mentioned, we kind of cover it, do a lot of it now as backup mutual aid. But it's a policy decision if we would want to, the board would want to go that direction.
Okay. So I'll turn it over to the board. Would you like to continue any discussions on this or find out more information for future meetings? Or what are your thoughts on that?
I have a few specific questions that might need additional follow-up and
Sure.
looking into stuff. So
Okay.
I think it would be good to at least gather some additional
Okay.
information to see if, you know, whether it is, you know, worthwhile to, you know, really explore it in earnest. Yeah. So.
Okay.
okay. If there's any data or anything you would need me to collect for you, feel free to contact me. And like my email address is right out there where I signed in, but feel free to contact me. I'll get you whatever information, data to not only support what I said here this evening, but anything you might need to help assist you in your decision-making.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much for coming
And if
tonight.
I may, just before
Oh,
he
sure.
moves on, Mr. Getz, is Mr. Shealy still your solicitor?
Yes.
And I was going to suggest if he wants to contact me, or, you know, I don't want to take up the time public meeting, but, you know, perhaps that's also a way to start to get some information as well.
Okay. Yes, I can do that.
Thank you.
I'll just, let me just write down your name.
I have one of your cards here.
Okay, thank you much. Appreciate it. Thank you all for your time.
Okay, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Is it okay if I leave, or would that be like rude?
You may certainly leave. We will not be offended, but thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, the next part of our agenda is for audience participation. This is a time where any item on the agenda or any business pertinent to the township can be discussed. We do ask that all attendees sign in, and those who are speaking, we do ask that you just state your name and address for the record if you come to the podium to address anything. Is there anyone in attendance tonight that would like to address anything? Okay, all right, seeing none, we will move on. The next section is the consent agenda. This is the time where any commissioner, staff member, or anyone in attendance who would like to have an item on the consent agenda removed for further discussion can request so now. Is there a request for the removal of any item on the consent agenda?
Madam President, if no objection, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Brown, a second from Commissioner Schwartz. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. So this was, registered as part of the consent agenda. Okay. Okay, so the next section is for me, the president, to discuss any items. We don't have anything on the agenda, but I would like to bring up something that was brought to our attention by some residents. Trick or treat is currently scheduled for this Thursday, October 30th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We understand from our wonderful meteorologists that there is a tremendous amount of rain expected on Thursday. In light of that, I'm just opening it up to the board if there's any consideration in terms of moving trick or treat to potentially Saturday, November 1st from 4 to 6 p.m., recognizing that October 31st, while it is actually Halloween, I understand that there is a Cedar Cliff home football game that evening. So I'm just raising that for consideration by the board. I understand that it may be something that falls to us to decide.
And Madam
yes.
President, if we could, I think this does meet the terms of Act 65, since it's not on the agenda.
Oh.
Perhaps we should make a motion to add it before we make discussion on that issue.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to add this item to the agenda?
Madam President, I'll move to add discussion and possible action regarding the dates and times of trick-or-treating within Lower Allen Township.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Schwartz and a second from Vice President Nagy. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, with that, now officially an item on our agenda. Is there any discussion from my fellow commissioners?
As a resident of Highland Park, whichever way we go, I think it would be best to try to get the information out to folks sooner rather than later. Make a decision one way or the other, and then get the information out to folks, because
Agreed.
it's when we have trick or treat coming up, you sort of plan your day and maybe even your week around it sometimes, to make sure that you can get into your driveway before things start. That is a thing for us. So I think that my neighbors and I would greatly appreciate some clarity on it. Like I said, sooner rather than later. I understand it's like proverbially trying to predict the weather. So
Right.
it's difficult making a decision like well in advance, but I just wanted to express that.
Yes. I do understand from other municipalities that they have started moving it to Saturday as well in light of the weather. Any other thoughts?
I mean, as the parent of an 11-year-old, trick or treat is a big night for the kids. They look forward to it. I mean, I think a month ago they started planning their costumes and who's going to go to whose neighborhood. And we're not talking about a light drizzle where just a umbrella. From what I understand, we're talking about a significant amount of rain. I would hate to see it canceled altogether. I think it's responsible to move it. Ideally, it would be on Halloween night, Friday, but in the interest of safety, I don't think it's wise to move it to the night where there is a home football game, especially with as many kids that live in and around that stadium. I think that would be irresponsible of us. So yeah, I would be in favor of moving it to Saturday.
Yeah, I agree. Whatever, is the most logical in making it the decision earlier for parents to adjust.
Commissioner Vallone, do you have any other thoughts?
No, none at this time. I am in favor of making sure we can move it though to a time that's convenient for families, because it's a very important evening for the community.
Are we aware of any other township events or anything on Saturday?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. Historically, though, I did want to share in 2019, it was moved because of weather to Saturday, November 2nd from 6 to 8 p.m. And then in 2020, it was moved to Saturday, the 31st from 4 to 6. So there hasn't been necessarily consistency with the timing in the past. And I think it does become difficult because we don't have a consistent message to tell the residents if there's bad weather. You know, if we couldn't tell them, we're going to move it to Saturday, 4 to 6, or whatever the board seems to feel is appropriate, that would be helpful for staff, and then we can get the word out. I know it's been delayed in the past due to the weather changing and us not wanting to because sometimes the weather blows out and Thursday's fine.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the reason for the delay in the past.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, and perhaps if we do move it tonight, I think maybe we see how it goes for moving it at this, to Saturday from 4 to 6 or whatever time period is decided upon. And then in the coming meetings, perhaps we could set a policy
Sure.
if that were to be a successful rain date backup, so to speak. So would anyone be inclined to make a motion?
I would just ask, in terms of time, Director Hall, do you see any benefit to any certain time over another on a Saturday?
I think that's 4 to 6. That's Saturday. It's before daylight savings time. That'll be Sunday. So it'll be pretty much like it was tonight, in terms of darkness. So I think 4 to 6 is probably better than the later hour. And we can get the word out a lot of different ways. And I'll take care of notifying the fire department because I know they do the pizza runs every year. And
Right.
I'm not quite sure what choices they will make with this, but I'll let them know
Okay.
immediately after you make a decision.
Okay.
Madam President, after hearing that, I would be inclined to make a motion in light of the upcoming anticipated weather on Thursday to move Lower Allen Trick or Treat to Saturday, November 1st from 4 to 6 o'clock p.m.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Brown and a second from Commissioner Schwartz. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And with that, we will, as soon as this meeting adjourns, we will immediately begin sending out information to all the residents and all the avenues to basically announce this postponement until Saturday, November 1st. Okay, thank you.
If we could, with that announcement, put a caveat in there about Friday not working because of a home football game and the safety issues that go along with that. I've been taking a little bit of heat for not having trick or treat on Halloween night, so.
Which is not historical for this area, but. Okay, we will move on. We have no human resource agenda items this evening, so we'll turn to Director Hall for the public safety items.
Thank you, Madam President. We have 4 items on the agenda this evening. The first, 9A, is a discussion and possible action approving an internal equity adjustment pay raise for Jake Meyer, who's a paramedic. This was actually included in a lower paragraph to the action the board took for hiring Ken Brittingham back on October 13th. We missed the bottom portion there that had said, in addition, more concerning dilemma is that it would create an inequity pay, and that was starting Ken at $30 an hour. So this is essentially to move Jake from $28.84 per hour up to $30. So it would be the same as the starting of a new employee.
Okay, any questions for Director Hall on this item?
If no other discussion, Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve the internal equity adjustment for Jake Meyer, paramedic.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Vice President Nagy and a second from Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, your next item, please.
Thank you. The second item, 9B, is discussion and possible action approving the eligibility list for police officer that was submitted by the Civil Service Commission from their meeting on October the 22nd. So the memo in your packet actually also has attached the signed letter from Terry Lanker, who's the chairman of the Civil Service Commission, Basically, they approved from the candidates that were presented and ranked, 4 names. The first on that list was Solomon Michael Alexander. The second was David Pryor. The third was Derek Wrights, and the third was David Fiera Figuerulo. And so what our memo to you is a request to actually approve for the list of 3. And the civil service rules require that list, but we added the 4th name. So if a selection is made from the list, we maintain a list of 3 by moving number 4 up into that the position again. So that's standard practice that we do.
Okay, any questions for Director Hall on this item?
No other discussion, Madam President. I'll make a motion to approve the civil service eligibility list submitted by the Civil Service Commission on October 22nd, 2025.
Second.
I have a motion from Vice President Nagy, a second from Commissioner Schwartz. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, next item.
Madam President, items C and D are combined. They were on one memo to the board. The 25 budget contains salaries for a complement of 27 police officers. At the Civil Service Commission list of candidates you just approved included the names of Solomon Michael Alexander and Derek Wrights in the top 3. So Solomon Michael Alexander is employed as a Cumberland County Deputy Sheriff, and Derek Wrights is currently employed with another police department. He's Act 120. Solomon Alexander is not, so he'll have to go to the academy. And so when we looked at this, we thought that the most expedient, because we've been down a police officer since May, would be to appoint from the list of 3 the Act 120 officer, since we had to wait to send the other officer, the first on the list of the academy. I think it starts on January 5th. But we'd be looking at hiring that individual for the last pay period in December. So it's actually on the 2026, out of the 2026 budget. But so essentially, this is a request to grant conditional employment offers, which means they'll have to go through physical polygraph and a number of things first, but conditional offers of employment to both Solomon Michael Alexander and to Derek Wrights. And they have different starting dates, obviously, but based upon their successful completion of those requirements, we would reapproach the board the end of November and by the end of December, potentially, at some point after that is done, to get the resolutions for their hire. So it would be 9C and 9D, and 2 separate motions as listed on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Director Hall on C and D? C or D, I guess.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes.
Director Hall, I'm just curious, have we hired officers out of the Sheriff's Department in the past?
I don't remember that we have. Doug shaking his head no. Captain shaking his head no. They take a different certification class, so we've already checked with MOPEC. They would still be required to go to the academy, to the Act 120 Academy.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious.
They have a lot of similar training, but it's not considered by MOPEC to be the identical training, and they have to take the Act 120 certification.
Okay, any other questions for Director Hall?
Madam President, if there's no other questions, I'll make a motion that we approve the conditional hiring of Solomon Michael Alexander as a police officer based upon the Civil Service Commission's eligibility list established on October 22nd, 2025.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Schwartz, a second from Commissioner Brown. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And Madam President, I'll also make a motion to approve the conditional hiring of Derek Wrights as a police officer based upon the Civil Service Commission's eligibility list established on October 22nd, 2025.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Schwartz and a second from Commissioner Brown. Any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And thank you very much, Director Hall.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Director Sweeney, Community and Economic Development. Your first item is a zoning hearing board update for us.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, so we have two applications that the zoning hearing board will consider at their November 20th, 2025 meeting. The one you've heard about multiple times, 1713 Humboldt Avenue. This is for a building setback variance and a special exception for a parking reduction. We also received another application for 4195 Gettysburg Road. That's the Ginter's property. They have a variance. They submitted a variance to provide a canopy. A portion of that canopy over the existing gas pumps would just a small piece would go into the front yard setback, which is typically not allowed. Which is not allowed. As well, they would be they're requesting a special exception for a reduction in parking as well. So those two items will be considered at the November 20th meeting. The second item is
Excuse
discussion
me.
and possible action accepting
Mr.
a.
Director Sweeney.
Director Sweeney, do you need me at either of those hearings?
No, I don't believe we do at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Solicitor Minor. The second item is discussion and possible action accepting a 90-day extension for SLD 2025. This is the Liberty Forge preliminary subdivision and land development plan. That plan was submitted, it was reviewed, and was tabled at the August Planning Commission. It was resubmitted and tentatively will be considered by the Planning Commission at the the November meeting.
Okay. Any
With
questions?
that, though, it's been here for a while. So they have granted a 90-day extension for your consideration.
Okay. Any questions for Director Sweeney on this Liberty Forge extension?
Madam President, if there isn't any further discussion, I'll make a motion to accept the 90-day extension for SLD number 2025-04, Liberty Forge preliminary subdivision and land development plan.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Schwartz and a second from Commissioner Brown. Any further discussion on this item? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 We're all out of sync right now. I know, I was trying. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And the last remaining item is discussion and possible action approving financial security release. This will be just release request number 1, but it is a full release in the amount of $9,910.88. Obviously, from $9,910.88 to zero. This is for SLD 2023-03 Interstate Towing Final Land Development Plan. In your packets was correspondence from our township engineer. All improvements were completed, all improvements were inspected, and he is also recommending the release of the financial security.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Director Sweeney?
Madam President, if no questions, I make a motion to approve the financial security release request number 1 in the amount of $9,910.88 for SLD 2023-03 Interstate Towing Final Land Development Plan.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Brown, a second from Vice President Naky. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Director Sweeney. Okay, Director Powell, there's no public works items for tonight. So we'll move to finance. We had obviously the budget presentation at our budget meeting on October 20th, and we understand there's some follow-up information for us tonight.
Yes, so we did review the budget. We went back through, we cut a couple of items. We were able to increase a couple of the revenues. So we have gotten the deficit down, this is just the general fund, to $1,924,200 and basically $54. So some of the options that I had laid out in the budget memo are the available funds from the amended budget that we did in 2025 for projects that haven't been done. We can bring those funds forward. That's $528,000 that we can add to it. We could do a PIB loan for the paving. That would take the $500,000 and put it into a loan amount, so that would give us an additional $500,000. Liquid fuels money can actually be used to pay the PIB loan back. They will do up to 10 years, but at $500,000, I did an estimate on a 5-year amortization. The current rate is 3.75%, so that would be about $110,000 of the liquid fuels funds that we receive. And we usually receive around $550,000. So that would give us an additional $500,000. And we did put in $100,000 in ALS equipment for the EMS, but we do also have monies budgeted for replacement and other smaller equipment items. So I suggested possibly taking that out of the budget until we have the study done and we find out what the independent third party thinks would be our best course of action for capital planning with other items. We are looking at doing a grant to actually outright pay for the 4th ambulance completely. So that would be, but that's not part of the deficit expenditure that we currently have. So if we put all of that in, those 3 items, then we are down to $796,254 as a deficit, which we could cover by bringing some of the fund balance forward. And we're not bringing over a lot. So those are a couple items. I did work up some numbers for tax increase if we wanted to consider that. So those are some of the options we came back with after this. I mean, we can go back and check things out more, try to see what else we can do.
Okay, well, thank you. I did have just 2 questions initially, I think.
Sure.
And this is just to cover our bases. So even though we amended our budget in 2025, I guess solicitor minor, there's no legal impediment to then carrying them forward, even though we amended the budget for these?
That's correct. And I think it's,
Okay.
and that's a fund balance, right, Ms. Noel?
Yeah, that's part of the fund balance that we had, when we did the amended budget, that was the excess monies that we had from
Right.
previous years. Yeah.
Right, I remember
So-
the purpose of them. I just want to make sure that since we took action to amend the budget, that we can then, it's still a viable source to be carrying forward.
And some of those projects that we projected have come back cheaper.
Okay,
So we didn't end up spending some of the monies that we thought when we amended the budget, those
Okay.
projects would cost.
I just want to make sure there was no auditing rules that would prohibit us from doing this, which I
No.
was positive you were aware of, but just wanted to raise it to cover,
Right.
to cover the question. And then second, with the PIB loan, I'm assuming we would need to go through the PIB loan process and provide our audits. I was just wondering if you were aware of any impediments to obtaining that loan in light of the status of our audits.
From what I've read, their process for applying, we shouldn't have any type of roadblocks or impediments for applying
Okay,
for the money.
okay, good. Those were the only 2 questions I had about your suggested options. So I'll open it up to the rest of the board if you have any questions on this amended presentation for us.
I have a couple.
Sure.
Madam President, thank you, Director, for this. Greatly appreciated. We know that y'all have done a ton of work on this, so it's, anyway. With, regarding the PIB loan, I was curious, what is, you might have mentioned this and I just missed it. What's the typical term on those loans? Is that over the course of 5 years, 3 years?
They'll go up to 10 years,
Okay.
max.
All right, so it's variable, like we can,
It is. I would
Okay.
think for 500,000, I'm not sure they would want to finance it for 10 years,
okay,
because their loans are usually a lot larger.
all right.
So I just estimated it at 5 years. I haven't actually contacted anybody to see about stepping through it. These are the things I've read that they have listed on the site for
Alright,
them.
Great. With the amusement tax ordinance, the option number 3 that you had mentioned,
Mhm.
I was curious what sorts of activities that might encompass. Just for my edification, I wasn't sure what additional activities might fall within that.
Currently, the way it's written, it's coin activated, or it's coin operated machines. So clearly, we no longer have coin operated machines in today's world. Everything has cards that go with it, or now we do have the like the electronic gambling games that are the games of chance that are up and about. What we have currently is an inventory that was brought forward for years and years, and they used to go out and they would sticker machines and then give a count for different locations. So we don't have all of the locations that have items. I mean, businesses have gone out of business, some have left the township, we have new ones that are here, you know. So we would really need to go out, if that's how we want to continue, we would definitely have to inventory. We'd probably need to clear it up that it's not going to be coin-operated machines, but I think if we could capture some of the newer items that they have now with the gambling, all those games of chance, those game rooms that have the games of chance and stuff, I think that could potentially help. It wouldn't just be the Dave and Buster's or the Monkey Joe, which is currently kind of the things that we have. So I haven't really gotten to talk with Director Sweeney about looking through that ordinance, but I think we have potential there. So that, we could look at doing that now and see about, like, even if we would implement it partway through 26 to help with revenues, it's definitely something we can look at doing going forward.
Great, yeah, I didn't notice, I did not know that that was an area where the definitions weren't actually capturing everything that was perhaps intended, so.
And if I may, I just out of curiosity, because I haven't researched this in years, but I know you used to be able to have greens fees. I don't know if you could have movie theaters, bowling alleys. I mean, it wasn't just like, video games or, in my day, like pinball machines. I mean, I know that it was broader than that, but I haven't looked at it. It never seemed to generate much revenue, so I'm not sure how broad the definition.
It's I think from like 1984, if I remember correctly. So it's, the movie theaters then probably really had nothing. I know we weren't, the list I have that was being billed, there is no movie theaters listed there. Movie theaters could potentially have all of that now. I haven't actually been to a movie theater in a long time, so I'm not positive. But they could, I would assume, if they're still catering like more to the younger generation, they may have like gaming rooms that you can go to. So we're probably missing that opportunity as well. But the other thing was, like, Liberty Forge does pay us when they do certain events, when they have, like, I guess, the parties that they'll host there if people rent their stuff. So they do pay a tax off of that. They're about the only ones at this point for that. So we do have opportunity in that ordinance, I believe, to expand it and probably bring in some more revenue.
And I believe there was a proposed House bill that was looking at taxing the PA skill games, which are the slot machines, if you want, for lack of a better term, where they call them skill because you push something on the screen.
Oh,
And therefore, it's whatever, some form of legalized gambling. I mean, it's not up to me to judge what is or isn't. But I was at a presentation, and I know that tax rate was varying greatly. And one tax seemed to be acceptable, and the other tax seemed to be like, we are no longer going to use these machines if it went that high. But I do believe that somewhere within that bill, there was a local tax. That's kind of how I got invited to this thing. There was supposed to be a local tax for that kind of stuff.
okay.
And I've heard that some of these machines will generate $10,000 to $20,000 a month per machine. So if you have an establishment that has 3 machines, I mean, you're talking about a substantial amount of money. And
Yes.
as much as I made it pretty clear, I'm not a fan of taxes. If we're taxing gambling, I don't have as big a problem with it. So that's just where I'll come from on that.
Yeah, I would certainly support kind of further reviewing and looking into that as an opportunity. I know that's not going to be a magic bullet to solve our number problem here, but I certainly think it's still worth looking at and going through. The only other comment I guess I would make, Madam President, on the EMS capital replacement, I'm not specifically against it. I guess my word of caution would be that something, if we do, as a board, decide to remove that, we need to be, essentially, it's not erasing it, it's more relocating it to next year with some better planning based on the study and off of, I know there was the discussion of a lease program for some of the equipment. I started looking into that as well to get more information for the manager. So I think we just need to be cognizant that this isn't really deleting that, it's just relocating it with more info to next year.
Okay.
And Commissioner Schwartz, were you all done? I just wanted to touch on that subject while
I
it
have
was open.
2 other beyond
Sure.
the amusement tax question, so.
Sure, I think we're back to you then.
Awesome, okay,
No,
thanks.
no, it's,
No, it's.
it was the flow of the conversation.
I was going to
Yeah.
interject if we were moving on, so. Regarding the covering the balance with the general fund, I was curious, from your perspective, Director, what amount would you suggest would be prudent in terms of covering the rest of what's left? With taking into account the recent policy that we voted on. Obviously, we don't want to use all of it all the way down to 30% necessarily. We want to try to, gradually work with the excess in our general fund balance. But I was curious if you had an opinion on what would be a prudent amount to put towards this year.
I feel very comfortable with where we're at. The 796,000, I would say 500,000 to 800,000 would be very comfortable. We do have, 6.5 million would be what we would want to keep. We have about 11 million. I wouldn't want to spend it all at one time because we have no idea what expenditures will be next year, which is going to change what we want to keep as the fund balance. And then, we may have other items that we need to cover next year. Like maybe we want to take all of it for the paving or things like that. So, but I feel this leaves us with enough that we should have
Great, thank you.
definite wiggle room, so.
My final question, and I wanted to preface this by saying I'm not suggesting this necessarily, but local earned income tax, I was curious whether we're maxed out on that currently. I couldn't recall from previous budget discussions, but is that an option?
Well, the earned income tax is not something you can generally change easily because that's set differently. Now, the local services tax, the $52 that we currently have, that's still the bill that was suggested. I have not seen any movement on that yet with the House or the Senate at the state level, but that was the one that they wanted to increase up to about $156. If they would do that, I would definitely suggest that we at least look at doubling from the 52 to 104 if we don't max it. That affects the residents who live here and work here. It does not affect your residents who live here but do not work here. So if you wanted to do something that's taxing before we would go to a real estate type tax, those would be my suggestions. We would look at these alternate revenues, like with the amusement tax. We'd look at the LST if they pass that through. But the earned income tax is very hard to change.
Okay.
Like you would have to vote to change what your earned income tax portion would be from here.
Got it. Understood. Thank you.
Mhm.
That is all my questions currently.
Okay, great
Thank-
question.
Thank
Yep.
thank you, Madam President.
I guess looking through this, I appreciate all the hard work that went into this, and I appreciate the, everybody kind of biting off a little bit here. It's a big year, it's a tough year. I guess the 796 is something I would be comfortable with out of the fund balance. I would not want to raise taxes knowing we have that big of a fund balance. I think, to me, that seems a little irresponsible, I guess, would be the word I would use for us to do that. But I do want to plan for the future. So I think some of these things we've talked about, I think it's crazy that we've never had this road maintenance plan in place. I think it's great that the study was done and now we have this data in front of us. If we can implement some of these things and therefore we can commit where we're spending this money that, it's in the budget, but we can let our residents know we're committed to spending this. And then we're going to do a slight millage increase. If it's 0.3%, if you have if your house is assessed at $300,000, that's a $90 a year increase. It's like $7.50. If your house is assessed at $150,000, that's a $3.75 per month increase. In order to go through this 10-year road plan, if we need, to increase millage rates in order to match that, I think that's something I can logically put in front of residents, and I think people can kind of bite off on that. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or what you do, these roads benefit everybody. So I think when we have a plan like that in place, it makes it easier for me to accept something like a tax increase. But right now, with where the fund balance is and with where kind of private sector spending is and things like that, I feel much more comfortable with what's in front of me and biting off the 796 out of the fund balance. So thank you. That's just my 2 cents on that.
Okay, Commissioner Valone, did you have any comments?
Yeah, thank you. A lot was already touched on by the other commissioners that I had thoughts on, but specifically regarding the EMS replacement expenditure of $100,000. I see us leaving that in there, knowing that depending on maybe the circumstances, that it wouldn't get spent, but that we would continue to commit that at the time. Regarding the PIB loan, I'm okay with that, and I assume Director Knoll, you have the math perfect with that, where we're just going to have that money in the bank, and it's going to be raising interest, providing interest for us by keeping the money in the fund balance. But I'm not for at this time raising taxes or looking at that. I think that discussion should probably happen down the road here, because of, when we start looking at the bigger picture and longer term of our budget moving forward for Lower Allen. So I would be in favor of somewhere around here. I don't particularly have a problem with, let's say it would be $900,000 or even $1 million, and the fund balance, or covering that much with a fund balance right now, knowing that perhaps, much of it's not actually going to get spent in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Valone. Is there any follow-up to that? Or any further discussion?
If I may chime in again, I just wanted to clarify, I just took a look at the Tax Enabling Act, and there are specific exemptions for bowling alleys, movie theaters, and gyms. And the only classification of municipality that can tax movie theaters are second-class cities, which I think there is only one, Pittsburgh. So that's why we probably centered on this kind of coin operator, or whatever you want to call them, skilled or unskilled, games, like the issue suggested, the Dave and Buster's or that variety, or those kind of things in whatever establishment where they had those kind of amusement games. So I'm sorry to confuse the issue, but I thought I better unconfuse it.
Yep, that's helpful. Thank you. Okay, Commissioners, I think we're tasked with making a decision potentially tonight, right?
If you
If we're
feel
ready.
comfortable, we can make the decision and put it on the table for the 20 days tonight, or we can, if you want me to go back and do some other analysis or see what else I can do, we can discuss it next Monday and hold that budget meeting.
I'll just chime in. I mean, I'm comfortable. I agree with a lot that Commissioner Brown was saying. I'm comfortable with the balancing that 800,000 from the general fund at this point. I do think we do have to consider potentially, small tax increases in our very near future just to, be able to sustain our costs. So I don't want to lose sight of that. But I do appreciate all the work that the staff went into, all the department heads. I mean, I know it's a very challenging task. And I know Manager Davis did a great job of shepherding that process and Director Knoll. So thank you for all of that. So I would be comfortable moving forward with the draft proposed budget at this time, but I'll defer to my fellow commissioners as well.
I would agree with you, Madam President.
I would tend to agree as well. I think that this approach helps to minimize any, hardship or negative impact on residents, and I think that's what we are all interested in ensuring, so I agree.
I concur as well, Madam President.
I think we need a motion then. Would anyone like to make a motion then to approve the budget as proposed?
For clarification purposes, this would be as presented with the just shy of $800,000 deficit covered by the general fund balance. Correct, Commissioners?
Yes.
That's what I
Yeah.
believe that's
Okay.
what we were.
Just for clarification.
Yes.
Thank you.
Would we need to specify that in a?
Yes,
Okay.
please. Thank you.
And are we saying we're putting the budget on the table?
It would be to advertise for putting the budget on the table for 20 days prior to adoption. Adoption has to happen prior to December 31st.
So we'd be looking for a motion to advertise to put the budget on the table as presented, reflecting a deficit in the general fund of the $796,253.44, but that would be covered by our general fund to achieve a balanced budget.
Correct.
Madam President, if there's no further discussion or questions, I would move that we advertise the 2026 budget as presented for 20 days prior to final approval, reflecting the coverage of the deficit in the amount of $796,254 with general fund balance revenue, general fund balance monies.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Schwartz and a second from Commissioner Brown. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Valone, I assume that you could hear all of this conversation, correct?
Yeah, I am. I do have a question. It's my understanding, based on what I think I heard from all the commissioners that are there present, that the consensus was unanimous of the four of you to go with the $796,254?
That's correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify.
Sure.
I'm prepared to vote.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the table, so if there's no further discussion, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0, and thank you again for all your work on this, Director.
Thank you.
Okay, Manager Davis.
Thank you, Madam President. I have two items on the agenda tonight for discussion, possible action. The first item being entering into an agreement to sign a letter of support for West Shore School District's application for redevelopment, for the Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program, requesting $2 million in funding for Phase 2 of the Redland High School Athletic Fields project, part of the district's overall campus, which is part of the district's overall campus improvement plan. The new athletic fields planned at Redland may help provide relief to Cedar Cliffs field and facility usage and reduce traffic in the area. In your packet, I had email correspondence from the superintendent, Todd Stoltz, regarding this project. This had gone in front of their school board and finance committee and has been approved. So they're seeking funding for this project to actually help relieve crowding at their existing Cedar Cliff High School campus. This will provide relief. Some of those students and sports teams can use the Redland campus if they get this grant, and actually would relieve some traffic congestion as well at Cedar Cliff. So they're looking to see if the board would be interested in signing a letter of support in favor of the project to go for this grant opportunity.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Manager Davis regarding our letter of support from the board?
Yeah, just want to clarify that this project is not just for a $2 million grant. This project's for a $2 million grant and then spending $2 million
Correct.
of taxpayer dollars
That
on
is
top
correct.
of that.
That is correct, Commissioner Brown.
I'll just give my brief thoughts on this. I think this is a school board decision. We just voted on our budget in here tonight, and I don't necessarily know if I need or want the school board's decision on how we spend our money, and I don't feel comfortable making a decision for them, so for that, I think I would tend to bow out of that discussion.
I would concur with Commissioner Brown. I mean, there's a lot of details in this and a lot of, if this was our decision to make, we would be wanting a lot of information and a lot more. So to kind of sign on to something that quickly without, more information, and for constituents that aren't all entirely ours, I don't know that I'm comfortable getting on board with this.
Understood. Any further?
I have a quick question, Madam President.
Absolutely.
Manager Davis, I was curious, in your correspondence or discussions with, is it Dr. Dr. Stoltz? Is it your understanding that, like, our, whether we join, provide a letter of support, would that make a significant impact in the likelihood of this funding coming through?
Oh, we haven't talked about the impact it would make. In my experience in applying for grants, any letters of support you can get can strengthen your grant application, but we didn't talk about, the significance of Lower Allen Township providing that letter of support. He just was asking if the board would be willing to support the project because they are applying for the grant.
Okay. Yeah.
Have we provided, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, have we provided letters of support for other district matters?
Not since I've been employed at the township. I can't speak to prior to me being here. I didn't know if Dave was making
Does the school
Director
district
Hall.
ever provide letters of support to the township?
They do. They have for various projects. We're working on a grant application right now for improvements to Rosswine Road together.
Is it a requirement of the RACP funding that you have a minimum number of letters of support?
I'm not sure about a minimum. I know it always strengthens your application,
Sure.
but that's a good question, President Karen. I'm not aware if they require a minimum.
It's difficult to come to a decision without
Yeah.
a fuller picture, because like Commissioners Brown and Nagy indicated, it's, this moving forward would be a very significant expenditure for a school district that, I'm not saying that they don't need to raise their taxes. I think that running a school district the size of West Shore School District takes a lot of money, and I think it's a good investment in our children and our future, but at this time, it's hard to square with the fact that, for instance, they don't have full-day kindergarten, something that some people on the board are advocating for. So anyway, I don't have all of the background and nuance to explain to me why a football stadium is more important than full-day kindergarten for our kids. So I also have some difficulty in making a decision one way or the other on this.
Okay. Commissioner Valone, do you have any comments before we move on from this matter?
Thank you. I just, want to say, you know, I'm not in favor of giving this support right now. I mean, I think where we can help, we should help. I think there's a lot of decisions the school board's going to have in the future. I can only imagine what their expenditures are going to be moving forward, particularly on the healthcare side, based on the experience that we have in our budget this year, and that I can't imagine, you know, that they're not looking at tax increases down the road. And so for us to encourage this right now, I don't think would be wise. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Flown. Okay, based on our conversation, it's apparent that the board will decline signing the letter of support at this time.
Thank you, Madam President. Appreciate the discussion.
So we'll move on to a discussion of our 2026 fee schedule.
Yes,
More money talk.
Well, we provided a redlined schedule. I'm trying to find that in my packet. I know it's in here because I know Nate put it in here. But we provided a redline schedule for the board just for discussion tonight. We'd like to get this in front of you so that if you have any questions, I got it, thank you.
Okay.
I knew Nate put it in here. I'm just shuffling around. Thank you so much, Madam President. So red lines are in front of the board. We'd like to get this in front of you a little earlier than it's done in the past. This does affect different items that have to happen towards the end of the year to get ready for the new year. So you can see all red line items, directors, department heads are here if you have specific questions or want to inquire regarding the changes. They're here to answer any questions you may have as you look through it.
I think we just received this red line tonight, so I think we're all going to need a little bit of time to digest the red lines. But I do appreciate so much that you redlined it so we can readily see what has changed since last year.
Absolutely.
What would be the next step then? Like what's the time frame for you to get our questions?
We could put this on the first November meeting agenda. That would be, I think, the 10th. Am I correct?
Yes.
And then if you could digest and review it and have any questions, we could have that for discussion and possible action at that meeting. It could go to the second meeting in November as well. Just like to get this approved prior to the end of the year.
Yes, and thank you for timely presenting this. With this information,
Absolutely.
the commissioners agree that we just will take a little bit of time to review it and then circle back with any questions before the next board meeting.
Sounds good.
There is one item I wanted to point out. I know we've put this in here, but it's for hearing costs. We had the appeal hearing for my decision on the one issue with trash collection. Solicitor Minor and I also attended an auto abandonment hearing. Those costs aren't covered. We've put a fee in here to cover those costs associated with hearings as such, about $750. There's stenographer costs and legal costs incurred that we did not have covered, so we've added that. I know that's a completely new fee, so I wanted to share that with you.
Okay, thank you so much. It sounds like we will be reviewing it and prepared to ask any questions at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had for this evening. Thank
Okay,
you.
Great. At this time, before we turn to the commissioner reports, I'll just ask if there's any directors, captains, or staff that have anything to contribute for the good of the order tonight. Okay.
I just have two items.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
yes.
they're here. So Sunday, at the barn, we held an event acknowledging our 175th anniversary of the founding of our township. Upper Allen was there, some commissioners were there, and some residents were there and staff. And we presented Upper Allen and Lower Allen with a plaque acknowledging that Sunday was the actual day of the 175th anniversary, so it was unique to be there and gather at the event. So I wanted to present this to the commissioners tonight. Your names are on this plaque, and just share with you the presentation of it. And we also received a citation from Representatives Delosier and Kutz. They were there, and they also signed a citation honoring the township for its 175 years of service. And so I just wanted to present both of those items to the board tonight.
Yes, and I just want to say on behalf of the board, thank you so much for all your efforts. I know you spent quite a bit of time in the planning process, and thank you for your time on Sunday. I know Nate Sterling was there as well. Thank you very much for all of your help that day. Just yesterday it was, actually. It feels like forever.
It does feel like a while ago, but it was yesterday.
Yes, but I do want to add, Manager Davis gave a very, very nice opening speech for those that were there. She covered just sort of the really great aspect of the reason for the day and the importance of the history, and it just was very touching, and I think everyone there appreciated it. The other manager from Upper Island was there and some of their commissioners, so it was nice. It was a nice joint event. It was a beautiful day, which always helps make things better. But just thank you so much for all that
Yes.
you did for the event. So thank you. And thank you for bringing those items
Absolutely.
tonight to share with the rest of the board. So, so hearing none right from the room, nobody had anything else to contribute. We'll move on to commissioner reports, and we'll start with Commissioner Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll try to be as brief as possible. Happy Halloween to everybody. First, I wanted to thank the students from Cedar Cliff and Trinity for coming out tonight, providing us with updates. I sometimes wax poetic about the fact that, I think that it's really important when residents come to these meetings and actually engage with local government, because the things that we do here are often, the most impactful on our lives on a day-to-day basis. And the more engagement and feedback we get from residents, the better we and the staff typically do our jobs. So thank you again for coming out tonight. I would reiterate President Karen's thanks for all of the work that went into the 175th anniversary ceremony with Upper Allen, which I also attended yesterday. It was very nice. Lindsay and I had a great time, and anyway, I love that history stuff, and if you put a good map in front of me, I will probably spend about 15, 20 minutes studying it, so I really appreciate it. Thank you. Also, I this past weekend attended the Frederickson Library's second annual None at the Library fundraiser, which I think built on the success of last year's event. It was a great time, and thank you to President Karen for being there as well. Lastly, don't forget to vote on November 4th.
Okay.
That is all.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Commissioner Brown.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo the thank you to the Cedar Cliff and Trinity students for coming and presenting tonight. It's great to hear what's going on at the local schools, and you all did a very good job, so thank you for being here. I also wanted to thank all of the directors and Manager Davis and Director Knoll for all the work that went into getting this budget done. I can only imagine how hectic and chaotic and this building has been in the last week. So much appreciated, and I'm very impressed that you guys got this down to where it is in such a short period of time. So thank you very much for that, and I think we're putting the best we can out there for our residents, so much appreciated. And again, now that we know the new trick or treat for Halloween, everybody please be careful. Watch where you're driving on Saturday from 4 to 6, especially. Look out for the little ones out there in their costumes. So that's all.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner Brown. Vice President Nagy.
Thank you, Madam President. Just want to apologize for my absence over the last couple meetings, but after a couple of false alarms.
I think we'll excuse you.
Yeah. Carson is now officially a big brother. Wyatt Nagy was born October 19th, 7 pounds, 4 ounces. So mom and baby are home, happy and healthy.
I think that deserves a round of applause. We're very happy for you and your family.
Just want to thank everyone for the well wishes and the flowers, and of course picking up my slack in the absence, especially with budget. And moving on to that, as Commissioner Brown and everyone else has said, thank you for all the efforts put into it, and also appreciate all the ungranted requests that everyone had. I know a lot of folks made sacrifices in order to get the budget where it was. I think one of the things we've learned in this new way of doing it, which has been great, having the discussions, is we can truly turn this into an opportunity for both strategic planning and strategic spending, more specifically, and how more of a long-term vision into each planning session. So I think that's an opportunity we've opened, and very much looking forward to it moving forward. In that same vein, the annual Recreation and Parks Board submitted their planning letter of different ideas and thoughts they have based on the tours of the different parks. And so appreciate their effort and time, and as well as their opinions and expertise on the matter, and we'll take that into consideration as we budget for that as well. So, and thank you to everyone speaking tonight. We appreciate you guys coming and keeping us updated. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Vice President Nagy, and congratulations again for
Thank
your
you so much.
new bundle of joy. Commissioner Vallone, do you have anything you'd like to share this evening?
Thank you, President Karen. First, Nate, Mr. Sterling, please, thank you for accommodating me so well on the phone this evening, and everything was loud and clear. I would like to thank the students for also attending, or also thank the students for attending. I think getting the civic engagement, particularly in our young folks right now, and welcoming that at our meetings is great. So thank you, President Karen, for encouraging that, and whoever else is involved with that. I attended a fundraiser at Lisburn Community Fire Company recently it was one of their bingos, and it was actually a really good fundraiser. I think they did really well financially. In addition to that, thank you to Director Nolan's staff for getting the budget together, and I agree with the sentiments about the process this year being let's say, a good learning experience. To go through the process like this, and it also will allow to deal with some of the challenges that are coming. So thank you for all the work that goes into the township, and a good meeting, President Karen. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Vallone. Also, just wanted to say a very quick thank you to the Cedar Cliff and Trinity students, and also want to say a thank you to the teachers and the staff at both of those schools. They were very accommodating and very excited to help coordinate the attendance of their students. So I greatly appreciate that. I think it's a benefit for our board to hear about the updates from the schools from time to time. I did want to just touch on, I know this was Columbus Day weekend, so it was a couple weekends ago now, but the Lower Allen Park was used very fully, shall we say, by the Dillsburg Dual Shootout soccer tournament, and I was there all weekend long. My daughter was playing in the tournament, happened to take home her under 15 championship, so very proud of her. But the reason I'm bringing this up is it was just amazing to see the township park just filled to the brim with soccer players. Every single field was filled with little players, from little tiny kids to my daughter's age, that's 15, 16, and just seeing all the families really getting to enjoy our park. And I just want to say a thank you to the Rec and Park Board for all that they do. I wanted to say a thank you again to Commissioner Brown and Manager Davis for the AED. For some reason, that just gave me great comfort that was in our park now for athletic programs and usage like that. So just wanted to bring that up. It was a very neat weekend, and thankfully, again, the weather was wonderful, so it made it a really fantastic event there in our home turf, so to speak. Also, as Commissioner Schwartz indicated, we attended the Frederickson Library fundraiser, which was a fabulous event. And I just want to say personally, thank you to Commissioner Schwartz for all the efforts and all that you do to serve as a liaison from our board to the library board. I think you're doing a great job, and we just appreciate that. So lastly, I'll just like to say, wish everybody a happy Halloween and a very safe trick or treat. And also good luck to the Cedar Cliff football team on Friday. So with that, I don't have any other items to cover other than our next upcoming meeting. I understand we will not need the November 3rd meeting.
We will not.
Correct. So our next regular scheduled meeting will be Monday, November 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. And with that, will we have any action potentially from executive session? No.
We will not.
Okay. So we will adjourn the meeting to executive session, at which time the board will be discussing the 2026 salaries. With that,